It's Friday. Glad to be off work. Peace to everybody who may be tuning in for another old chit chat. Gonna see what we can I thought it was the 11th, Krishna. What's today? I thought yours was the 11th. What's today, the 9th? That's what's up. Happy birthday, my brother. Oh, hold on. Let me change it up. Happy journey back through the quest of the astral plane, beloved. Oh man, that's what's up. That Aquarius shit, powerful energy. Go somebody in a Bentley coupe. Well, we're gonna go ahead and get it in. Everybody might be out enjoying a cocktail, depending on what time zone you in. If you're on the East Coast, might be turning back something. If you're on the West Coast, you might be trying to stay awake till the end of the day. But if you're on Texas time, oh man, I wanted to. I thought about something earlier today. This ain't nothing really, never is really nothing super deep. Just some old common sense stuff. Metaphysics is the ultimate common sense. So the idea of we entertained it quite often. The idea of there being a God versus a devil, or Satan versus God. We find that same type of story over and over in different cultures, and we've all hashed it out, and we know about all the different metaphysical teachings on it's just a trap of duality and so forth, and it's all about positive and negative. I'm not gonna bore you with that because y'all know that, but just to give you an example of how I'm really fascinated with seeing how esoteric principles, metaphysics, everything is really just speckled all over the anatomy of the human body. This body it's like you were sent down into this body, and if you play your cards right, you would be able to see all of the greater realities just by studying your own body and its inner working parts. And you know that ancient cultures had to have spent countless, not hours, not days, not years, but thousands of years of studying the nature of things, because you see some of these different stories, how they lay out the story and relate it back to an animal, or they develop a whole style of fighting that's based on observing an animal. You don't go out, you don't wake up one day and get a pack of Newports and go out to the front porch and watch a cat fight and then say, oh, I'm gonna create this whole, I'm gonna create a fighting style. No, that's from years and years, generation after generation of, we got all this stuff about collecting data now. That was the real data mining or data, data driven reality where they were studying their surroundings. What the fuck does that have to do with what I was? I get to talking and I lose my place. But what was the point is, I guess, why I brought that shit up. This is what old age. Either way, because I was just talking about culture, ancient cultures and shit. I still don't know why I brought it up. I'm just trying to sit here. I'm pump faking. But either way, my original thing was to talk about tension. I'm gonna keep talking till I remember why I got off on that. And how I wasn't gonna go over. See, we wasn't gonna go over back over the. We're talking about the body. There we go. The body. How the body gives you a roadmap to divine knowledge. Okay. Your mouth will explain the concept of God and Satan very simply. Now, well, in a lot of ways, but we're just going to look at the tension between God and Satan. And before we get to that, you wonder sometimes the different trials and tribulations you go through in life. You wonder, why the fuck is this shit happening? You sit back and look at some people and they're like, this motherfucker don't have a care in the world. And if you're not careful, you can slip off into that Judeo-Christian type of mindset of, man, am I cursed? Am I being chastised? And I mean, you might not go to that extreme, but you be on that road, you start wondering, is it something personal against me and this and that? And then you find something so simple that gives you some clarity, because the pain and the suffering that we feel individually, collectively, however, it amounts to some form of tension. And I know I've talked about this before I think I talked about it the very first time I was on Dr. Alim's show, talked about the metaphysics of muscles. And, when you go to work out, you're putting your muscle under tension. And the tension, your ability to put your muscle under enough tension without snapping it, is what makes it grow. So y'all probably very familiar that heard me say that. But I was thinking today about your teeth. One of the big things of the future, right now, and it's going to be the thing of the future, is dental implants. So, and let me say this too about real Illuminati shit. I'm going to tell you something. Real Illuminati shit, and I see this how I fuck up. I ain't gonna remember where. Let me just say this so I'll know where I gotta get back to. I gotta go back when I finish on this tangent. I gotta go back to talking about tension in the teeth. All right, tension in the teeth. That's what I'm gonna go back to. But let me tell you this real quick. Real Illuminati shit, if you want to use that term, it ain't none of that. It ain't what you think. It ain't what you think. The Illuminati shit is all around you, and it's the shit that's governing your life that you participate in. It's not about somebody wearing a certain chain or making some gesture or Prodigy was a blood sacrifice and all. I mean, that shit's all entertainment. I'm gonna tell you some real Illuminati shit. I got the stuff. I can't get to it, but real Illuminati shit is. Let me give you an example. If you watch the movie Divergent, or you watch Fringe, in these shows, these sci-fi things, one of the things you'll see is they got a thing they can walk up behind you and knock your ass out by sending an electrical signal into your spinal cord. Okay? As a matter of fact, they got a thing out now called Altered Carbon. My cousin put me down on the book about 2-3 years ago. I bought the book, never read it. Now the series came out, and it go pretty hard. But all these things keep dealing with the neck. Now we know back there that's the reptile brain, the medulla oblongata, and all of that out of the Book of the Dead, opening the mouth of Osiris. We know that. But this thing they keep showing these sci-fi things where they can go and knock your ass out. Do you know that's some real shit that dentists got now? One of the amazing, this is 2 years ago when this article comes out about technological breakthroughs in the dental industry. This ain't no new shit. They got some shit can come up behind you and knock you out, or the more professional term, anesthesia, a form of anesthesia that you don't have to get no shot. So it's in an electrical current and knock your ass out. That's real Illuminati shit. See, the real shit, they put it in the most inconspicuous places as technological breakthroughs. And they put it there for testing. Oh, this is an amazing new breakthrough. You have anxiety about going to the dentist? Okay. Here's a pill that you can take an hour before you get there, and you ain't gonna have no phobia, no anxiety. You can show up, go through the procedure, but guess what? The next day, you won't even remember what happened. Now, a motherfucker will read that and say, man, that's cool. I ain't even got to even endure all the, but a little common sense. Wait a minute. You mean I'm going to take a pill and somebody's going to drive me to the office and some shit's going to happen. It's not like I was put under full anesthesia like I'm about to have surgery. I'm going to pop a pill and I won't remember what happened. So now you go back to all other things going on about, oh, there's an opioid crisis and there's a this crisis and a that crisis. But you don't see the other side of it. This is real Illuminati shit. So, but either way, that's a whole nother conversation. There's so much shit going on that the general public is not aware and how it all fits in. But either way, back to your mouth though. One of the real breakthrough things going on is dental implanting. Peace to everybody. Peace. So if you are suffering from tooth loss, you got several different mechanisms. You got, of course, the old schools, get some dentures. You can get a bridge. If you only got one tooth missing, you can get a crown attached to an abutment. That's it. attach it to one of your teeth and bond it. But if you want to just really restore your smile, let's say you got a whole row gone, or you got 3 or 4 teeth, you can go and get a dental implant. And that's basically just a screw that goes down into your jawbone, and then they put a fixture on top of it. Now, the reason that implants are so my words lately, beneficial, I think it's because I had to think and write all day, and when I can't even fucking talk no more. It's so beneficial because, now listen to this. If you're familiar with Buckminster Fuller, he created this thing, this geodome, right? I'm trying to think of the word. The word he used for the way he designed it was tensonography, but the root is tension. That's the moral of the story. He designed those geodomes, and people wonder, well, how are they staying up? It's because he was using the tension of the other pieces while all holding everything together. Look at that. So the reason that dental implants are so important is they provide tension to your jawbone. See, all your teeth in your mouth are playing a role. They're all pushing against each other, and what it does, the fight that's going on between them, or the resistance that they create, or tension between each other, it tells your jawbone to continue producing new bone cells. Because your body is constantly dying and being reborn all the time throughout the day. So the tension provided is where the growth comes from. Bingo, Bobby. The tension provided by your teeth is what makes the jawbone produce new bone. Now, right now, by that little phenomenon that's going on in your body, we just answered several questions. We answered the question about why do we even exist? If we know that we originate as something higher, as God, if we want to call it that, and then we wonder, well, why the hell did we have to come down into this? And where you are limited and this and that, it is because growth only comes through tension. You're wondering, myself included sometimes, man, what the fuck, man? When is this going? What the hell? These damn problems. But you have to then reflect. Growth comes from tension. And that was what I was like, man, you really sit and look at that. So that's some heavy shit. It is the pushing, the pulling, the back and forth is where the growth is. So if some people are not gonna go through certain things, and this is not a cop-out to say that you gotta accept, you gotta accept your plight. What it's more of is finding the beauty and growing through your plight. So it's not saying, accept defeat, but it's finding, how can I take it and turn it into something that is actually beneficial for me? And really, it's all about changing the way we perceive things and we look at things. Because our humanity sometimes it's going to get the best of you, and it's supposed to. That was the whole point. The whole point was for you to have a struggle, not with just the stuff you got to deal with, but a struggle against your own humanity. But it is just the fact that you are willing to struggle is where you still produce new cells. And a cell is what? Is a body of light. So you produce new light, which would be the Christ baby, the baby Jesus. The new light, the new baby, is produced through the tension that occurs between the ebbing and the flowing, the back and the forth, the masculine and the feminine. We're trying to find ways to really make our metaphysical understanding really come home in everyday shit that we deal with, so you don't completely lose your mind, because when the ills of this reality is really hitting home, sometimes all of the beautiful words and the philosophical tone don't really get that shit done. I'm the divine. I am a divine king who is omniscient, omnipresent. I am God having a human that shit that shit is like, man, fuck that shit. This ain't the time for that bullshit. So you need something very simple metaphysics. To find a way to endure. Because see, that endurance is really what you're training for. When you go and train for football, we had to run 110 sprints. That was our test. But what was we had to, when you go to the combine for NFL or any other semi-pro league, they test you on how many times you can bench press 225 pounds. But what are they really looking to establish? They're looking to find out what type of endurance you got. You're training to endure. You're enduring so that you can endure more. Because the harder that I can train in the off season, the better chance I got when it's fourth quarter, we're on our own 20-yard line, and we got to drive the ball 80 yards, and we got to go no huddle. If you've never played sports, you don't know how, especially on a Division I college level. It's in high school we played sports. We play football. We play both ways. You play offense. You play defense. You can't do that shit when you get when you're playing the game at a certain speed. You don't have the energy because it moves so fast. You bullshit and you loaf around in high school. You might be the strongest man on the field. You can bullshit, but in college, they've recruited other people like you, so you can't bullshit. You got to go hard every time the ball snap, because you might get your lunch ate. So you're having to exert a lot of energy. So if we get on the 20-yard line and got to drive 80 yards, no huddle, that's no breaks. That's a consistent sprint over and over. 5 second, 6 second sprint. Come back. Ready, break. Go back out. Sprint again. So, but when you're training in the off season, you're training so that when that time comes in the game, when you got to really, really use that shit, you're going to have something to call on, some reserves. So these little meetings we have like this, or your own private studies that you go through, or your own rituals, your own experimentation, is really off-season training. Off-season training so that when it's game time, you're able to reflect, and pull on something. So when you're at work, that's game time. When you're out here on the highways and byways, that's game time. Just whatever. How can we take this stuff and make it practical? And all the practicality come down to is being able to put your mind in a certain state. I find that is the biggest challenge for me. Is like if I've made my mind up that I want to be negative, that is extremely hard to reroute that. Rerouting. In my mind, like, fuck that, we're going this way. Nope. So that's a battle, and that's the real game time battle right there. You in some shit, and how can I keep my mind in the right condition that I need it to be in, so that I can do what I got to do. Now, if you got time, yes, meditation is great. But see, I've had to find ways that I can present this for people whose lives are like mine. See, I don't have the time to sit around all day and namaste. I don't. Now that, and everybody's situation is different, and that's not to degrade the importance and the value of, in the sitting and deep meditation. But let's say you like me, you got two older children, two little babies, you got a job, you got responsibilities, and how can I jack in? I need to jack in. How can I snap my mind into where it needs to be? So I need things like, I need to say a mantra every morning before I get out the truck and go in and work, just to set the tone. I need to be able to talk to myself. I might need to have me it could be a scripture from Book of the Dead. It could be a scripture from the Bible. It could, anywhere. It could, anything. It could be something that somebody wrote wherever, in some blog or something. You need to have your weapons ready so that when you're under attack, you can have your arsenal to go and pull out. And the number one attack is on the mind, and the number one weapon you have is your mind. Just like anything else, it can have mechanical flaws and breakdowns, and it needs to be tinkered with, and adjusted so that it can run efficiently. So that's what we're doing. Like I said, it's just some old common sense shit. It's nothing, way out there. Y'all already on the frequency. You know what time it is, but we need some reminders every now and then, just to, because it's real out here. If you're not hiding from life, like Tom Brady and I would say for myself that I think I went through a period where I was to some regard hiding from life, and it was, I was supposed to be in that at that time, because that's how I amassed. I'm gonna go this way. I amassed. Look like I'm gonna take me a little voyage today. I amassed all these books and I logged so many hours of watching lectures and this and that. So it was supposed to be that way. I was in the womb, and the baby is supposed to be have a degree of peace in the womb to be able to get the nutrients from the mother undisturbed. You know, even when the baby comes out and is drinking breast milk, the baby's still disturbed because she got lights and sound. And you know, if you got a son like mine, he trying to bogart in and work his way in, and you know, but when the baby's in the womb, the baby's undisturbed for the most part, unless you got some crazy shit going on. So that hiding out from the rigors of life, and you know, really you can say your responsibilities, you know, had its place, but this is not the time for it. And it's really stretching me and pushing me. It's really pushing me. It's really hard days because, you know, I just want to be able to do whatever the fuck I want to do. Because for so long, I lived like that. You know, I ain't have to report to no job in no certain time. You know, I could just, just go and train some people, was making money, this and that. But that was that season. And as it says, I think it's in Hebrews, I'm paraphrasing, but a child, when you're a child needs milk, but now you are an adult, you need solid food. And the baby Jesus has to eventually grow up. You know, little cute baby in the manger, all the potential. We talked about potential yesterday. All that potential. Oh, you're going to be the president. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. All the predictions and this and that. Well, eventually the baby got to grow up and got to get out here and fend for itself. So even throughout your adult life, you're going to have these situations where you're going to be thrust into becoming an adult. You might be 70 years old and go through some type of transition where it's like, okay, it's time for me to become an adult. It's time to have some new tension applied. And there you go. That's the beauty of, once again, this life we live in. We get the opportunity to struggle so that we can grow. So if you're going through some shit and you ain't completely lost your mind and you still holding your head up and functioning, then, you know, pat yourself on the back. You are already working magic. You're already working magic. The survival is magical. Now the other part of it is how to flourish off of the tension that has been created. Now I've learned how to survive. Now let me focus my attention on flourishing and turning this water into wine. And if you think that I'm jumping off topic now. If you think that all this stuff about these magical things and this and that are not part of the world we live in, once again, all you got to do is just pay attention. They have a new tool that cosmetic dentists use called the wand. WAND, a wand. And on one end of it, it can deliver, I guess, anesthesia, or like well, I don't know what you would call it, anesthesia, where it can numb your mouth before they do the procedure. So all this stuff is real. We are real. We just gotta keep working on realizing how real we are. Anybody Yeah, it's not a sedative. It's it's another term for it. But either way, well, that's all I got. I'm if I can get home and get my what you call question. Are we supposed to flourish in this world? Are we supposed to flourish in this world? Well, we got to first define what each person's meaning of flourishing is. I think that's the number one place to start. You came here to flourish. A ball only gets dropped so it can rise. You know, you dribble a ball, you got to throw it into the court for it to bounce back up. Now, we've been led to believe that all we can do here is suffer. And yeah, suffering's always going to be a part of this reality. Because to be alive in a body is to suffer, because a body is a restriction. But there ain't nothing but God. Literally, if there's nothing but God, that means that it has to be everywhere. Then why can't it make its mind up to make its reality what it wants to be? Unless God already made his mind up that it was, it just wanted to experience, I just want to experience suffering. So I think it's a thin line between that. It comes down again, your definition of flourishing. Because let's say I would look at somebody like I'm going back to Oprah. Let's take her buddy Tyler Perry. To me, Tyler Perry has everything money can buy, at least for a black man, or what was born a black man. I mean, and I hope this stream don't drop out. I'm going through that area. But there's nothing remotely that I would want that even remotely resembles his life. And I can say that unequivocally. There's nothing about being a damn Tyler Perry that is appealing to me. Because in the terms of the world, the way we judge things, he's flourishing. But I guarantee you, when nobody's around, man, can you imagine how many handlers he has, how many people he's got to answer to, and his own demons that he's dealing with. When everything's a fraud. So again, like I said, you got to define what flourishing is. I have my own definition of flourishing, and I refuse to accept, knowing that I'm God, that I cannot change my situation. Now, me being God and having a certain understanding of existence, I also know that I have chastisement set up in place for myself. That if I am to lose focus and lose sight of what the greater goal is of all of this, then I have in this simulation that I'm living in, I have encoded in there chastisement. And I know because I have felt my own chastisement. Years of this shit. And it's a motherfucker. But let's go back to Metaphysics 101 to really wrap this thing up and answer that question. Excellent question, Luis. The 7 Hermetic principles look to overcome what thing? What thing do they overcome? I swear I don't care how far we go, how far I try to go, I always get yanked back to that. The 7 Hermetic principles. What do they look? What do the 7 Hermetic principles look to overcome? Somebody, it's one word. One word. Somebody posted. What is the one thing? Okay, that's what it looks to establish. Okay, but my art is what? My art is balance. So if I'm balanced, then I can't be leaning. Oh shit, I won't go there. Damn, I should have gone off my first thought. If I'm balanced, that means I'm not going to be leaning way or the other. So what happens is, are we back live? Okay, let's deal with I think just about everybody done dropped off, but hell, we'll go on with it. Flourish. You see in the root of flourish, you have floor. Floor is flower, like fleur de lis, flower. So to flourish means to rise. Whenever you see anything that's remotely close to flower, just like, whether it's flower, FLOWER, or it's flower, FLOUR, they mean the same thing. They come from the same root. To flourish means to flower or to rise. So you fall to rise. You don't fall. You don't fall to stay down. You fall so you can rise. That's one of the Hermetic principles. Law of polarity. That's your law of rhythm. That's your law of gender. I mean, everywhere you look at each one of those little Hermetic principles, it's telling you that one causes the other. The other causes, you know what I'm saying? It's back and forth. So if you fail, you have no choice but to flourish. Now I understand what the brother was saying is really, I think what he was saying is about flourishing in this world. I'm going to say yes too. Yes, you can. And yes, you will. And it's because you have this level of consciousness now, you're going to be better at defining what is a healthy way of flourishing. See, the problem with some of those other cats, we see them, some of these people we see in front of us and how they carry on and this and that, and, your Oprahs and all this. It's that maybe the idea of flourishing got away from them. Just maybe they got into the world they're in and they had great intentions and they wanted to flourish. Just, be comfortable. Be comfortable. But something can happen when you get away from your base, and you can get lost and can't never find your way back home. My daddy used to teach me that about writing. He said when you start writing, you got to always be able to find your way back home, because you can get off on a tangent and what you originally started out writing about, it's completely gone because you've gone off on down a rabbit's hole. Well, that happens too with people with, trying to make it and be successful. That's why it's important. You learn in all magic, you have to be very purposeful, and you have to be direct with your intent. You need to be sure about your intent. What do I want? And that is a great universal concept just to apply everywhere. Know what you want. I'm finding myself now, I'm driving to work, I'm asking myself more and more, what really do you want? Stop talking about how you feel and be laser focused, Jamal, on what do you really, really want. And sometimes it's hard for us to really pinpoint what we want because we're too busy describing our emotions. How I feel. I feel this way. I'm tired of this. I just want this. But you say we just want, but we're not clear about what we want for sure. And that's why sitting down, if you can get a still away and get a chance to write down, your thoughts, your journal, your goals, your dreams, whatever, whenever you can write, you're using an apparatus that is, in order for it to work as an apparatus to write with, it has to be focused. A pencil has to be sharpened to a point. A pen has to come to a point where it can deposit ink on your paper. So that in itself denotes some type of focus. So just the act of writing itself is an agent of focus or lasering in on your reality. So let's see. So I don't see any other questions, anything. Anybody got anything before I get off here you want to hash out or whatever? Or if not, I always appreciate y'all getting on for the afternoon drive. Maybe that's what we'll call it, the afternoon drive. And I want to see if I can get my webcam hooked up this evening, and maybe we can do maybe a Google Live or something. And damn, why is my, oh man, all this time I've been talking, I ain't been charging my battery. Shit, talking about low battery. Well, all right, brother Jamal signing off. Stay down till you get up. When you get up, stay down. Peace.